Hey everybody, I'm T Bear and welcome to the premiere episode of The Bear Facts. So some of you guys know me as Richard T Bear, or some of you know me as T Bear, and we're going to keep it as T Bear for now. But I had a whole career, um, 7 albums, solo albums, and I played on mucho albums. And before I started this thing, and I took a hiatus and went into the bear cave and hibernated for a couple of decades, and then decided to come out and test the water, as it were, again. So this being my first show tonight, I have a very special guest, and I'm going to introduce him right now, and it's Tony Braunagel, who is the producer of the record Fresh Bear Tracks that's coming out soon, and also my manager, as it were. And so, Tony, I'm glad you decided to come on tonight and give a shout out to everybody. I know Tony for quite some time. We met a long, long time ago. And if you're not familiar with Tony Braunagel, he's one of the great drummers in music, as well as a phenomenal blues producer and a music producer, as it were. He's got Grammys. He's also been the drummer of the year. He's also nominated every year as drummer of the year at the International Blues Awards in the Society down out of Memphis, and produces a lot of great artists. And we met a long time ago. So everybody say hello to Tony Braunagel.
Hey there. Wow, it's so great to be here on T-Bear Facts. That's what we're calling it. Is that the name of the show? Yeah?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to call it on
Bear Facts.
Yeah,
T-Bear Facts.
The
Yeah.
Bear Facts, right.
The Bear Facts, that's it. Okay, that's kind of like over on Fairfax. No, that's the Bear Facts. It's not on Fairfax. Yeah, it's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me. And we met each other probably in the early 80s. That would think that would be the first time we kind of bumped heads in sort of a way, when I was touring with Ricky Lee Jones, and I was about to go on the first. I went on the tour, and we were on the first gig in Austin, Texas, and Ricky had a reputation back then for kind of disappearing, and you were the wizard that went around the neighborhood in Hollywood that one knew she might haunt, and you found her. And then you brought her on the Warner Brothers jet to Austin.
Yeah, I was tapped to go find Ricky and bring her to Austin because she had a tour starting and she hadn't gotten on the commercial airplane to get there with you guys. And Warner said, get her there or you guys would suffer the consequences of the tour would be canceled. So
yes,
I got her there about within the hour of the show starting, I think.
Well, you saved our careers. About a 10-piece band of guys, and it was amazing how we got through that tour, because Ricky she was a character. Come on, she loved her lifestyle, and it was out there, and it was kind of out in the street. She's an amazing artist, though, and I did 2 wonderful tours with her, and really, really deeply into the music that we did. And there's a live bootleg of us at Universal, and it's just magic. Every time I hear it, I get goosebumps. It was really fantastic. But you and I bumped heads then, and we didn't see each other for years and years and years. And I went through from there from Bette Midler for a year, and then the next year I joined Bonnie Raitt in '84 and stayed there till '91, and was on the Nick of Time record and played on a couple songs on that. And then the record after that, was it Longing in Their Hearts or something like that. And I played on I Can't Make You Love Me, which is in the Grammy Hall of Fame. And then went on to Taj Mahal in the '90s. And in between, I always recorded and was in the studio all the time. You know what I mean? So that in Los Angeles. And then in about 98, 99, I started producing. And I've produced about 40 records since then, over the 20 or so years. And, some have gotten some Blues Music Award nominations, and many of them won some of the contemporary blues awards. And then I won a Grammy in 2000 by producing a live record on Taj Mahal. And then 2018, I got a nomination on an artist named Danielle Nicole. And I'm hoping we get some noise off of you in 2021.
That would be phenomenal. I want to tell everybody how we came about this. My wife, who has passed away in 2019 in the fall, she is the culprit to get me to go back into music. And that was the reason I came out of the bear cave and stopped hibernating. She kicked me in my pants, and she said, start writing, start playing, put a band together, go out, play live gigs. It's time for you to show what you're about and get into music again. And so I picked up the phone and I called a bunch of folks, and they all said, we'll get behind you if you want to do this. And one of the first calls I made was to you. And I knew I would be in great hands. I'd made enough records in my life to know who I wanted to, steer the boat. And, it was certainly you, Captain Braunagel.
Well, I'm glad you saw that. I was inspired from the moment we first started, and still to this day, because you're still writing brilliant songs, That's the great thing, I think, that attracted me to you, that, you always write from your heart, and you get something in your mind and your heart, and you have to talk about it, and you're very your imagery is really great. It's wonderful. You're very explicit in what you're trying to say, but at the same time you come up with great words and great ways of saying it, and they're all pretty much picturesque, and I really enjoyed that element that we had, because that's a lot easier to make music around, because the emotion coming off the lyrics, can go into the music, and we've found that happening a lot of times with how these wonderful musicians performed on this, and the moments that we had of cutting these tracks and everything were inspired. And we didn't do anything. I think we had one song that we looked back on and went,
yeah.
And that was something you'd recorded a long time ago, and it had a stigma, and so everything we did just had great moments, and we were able to make a really great sounding record, I think, and I'm quite proud of it.
I love the record we made, and I look forward to many more with you. And what I liked about the record is that we started small, and with baby steps, and the longest journey starts with the first step.
Yeah.
And you were a great guide as I went through the Himalayas on a footpath until I got to the Autobahn, which was unlimited speed and potential. And what was great about working with you, Tony, is that you were open to a lot of ideas that I'd come up with. I'd been a session musician like you have, and there've been some producers, I'm sure, that you worked with that had a way that they wanted to do things. And it was their way or the highway, so to speak. And the nice thing about working with you is that, you were willing, to take a flyer on things. Let me bring up a track on the album. For example, the one that's coming out as a single, which is "The River of the Resurrection." That was actually one of the last songs we did, and by then we had this relationship where I said, I kind of hear something like this, and you take a flyer on it. And even though we had Tom Scott on a couple of tracks that we cut, and Joe Sublette and Paulie Serra and all the great horn players, I turned to you and I said, hey, you know what? I know this guy, and you know him too, called Edgar Winter.
Yes.
And you know, I'm going to see Edgar tonight, and how about if I you know, ask him to play alto on this? And because we had thought about other solo instruments, you know, on an overdub, and you were like, yeah, that's I didn't think of that, but yeah, let's try it.
Yeah.
And so Edgar came in, and the rest is magic.
Yeah, he pretty
Rest
much
is,
played what was for me almost a classic solo. You know, those solos that you remember forever. You know, you can like remember. You can like, you know, recite them or whatever. And now when that solo goes through my head all day long. Sometimes
yeah.
it'll just get in there and it won't go away. And I go, oh, Edgar, you got me. You know.
I know. The guy is actually he's like a magician.
Yeah, yeah.
Is what
Well,
I like to
he's
say.
quite a genius
Yeah.
musically. He really is, without a doubt. You know, the guy's.
And you know, another track I'll say is "Woe Is Me," and here's where you did this for me. We thought it was a great track. It's a great smoky blues track, and it was fine. And then you turned around and go, you know, I think an acoustic upright bass might really add some magic to this thing. And you went, hey, let's call Chuck Berghofer, who I didn't know, but you know, knew of his creds. And you
Dun,
called
dun,
Chuck.
dun, 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 you know, famous bass
Boots keep
player.
on walking. Yeah.
Yes, that's
I
right.
mean, he was, you know, in the Wrecking Crew
In the Wrecking Crew was
and
he?
in his 80s,
Yeah,
well in his 80s. And he comes and shows up and walks in with his upright bass, and 2 takes later it was done and he left. And it was
magic.
magic, you know.
Yeah.
And then I went, hey, how about if we put some strings on this thing? And we never thought of strings.
Yeah.
And you went, okay, you know, let's try it. And they all worked. So we have this really nice coming together thing, you and I. And
Yeah.
some of them work, some of them don't. But you know, we're having fun doing it. I can tell you.
There's a synergy there, and it doesn't always fit exactly, and you can't expect it to. It's like anything in a romance or whatever. You're gonna have great moments with someone, and then sometimes you're gonna go, you know, and you and I've always kept a great, very respectful sort of decorum with each other, you know, and we've been very open and to each other, and we've been very, you know, we become great friends and everything, and you can share with me and I can share with you. And that just makes, when you write a song, that I know where you're coming from and I can feel your heart and everything, and everything inside you that's coming out in that song. That just makes me understand it better and understand you better. And so I can then kind of get a picture of what you're looking for. I also, as you're playing me a song, sometimes I just close my eyes and I get a vision of what I think it's going to sound like, you know. And we've got some things coming up that you've written that people are going to hear later on down in the next part of the calendar.
That's the
That
thing
they're
about
going
this
to go,
COVID thing.
wow.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's the thing about this COVID thing. And I've been writing myself out of my condo,
Uh,
you know, in all kinds of directions. So there's all that. I've got to publicly thank you for having my back and being such a wonderful guy when I was losing Nina. And she, by the way, this album is dedicated, as you know, to
yes.
her. She, you know, she threw me lines, and she was the grammar police, and
Yeah.
she, you know, she was really, really there until the very end. And you know, I did the song, Nina's song,
Yeah.
for her,
Beautiful
which is
song. Makes me
which is
cry. I can't listen to it.
yeah, it was really hard to sing, and I did it live, and you set it up for me, and it was a beautiful, beautiful tribute to her. And just quickly, let's talk about Ed Cherney for a minute, if we have some time to do that, because
We,
he's the
yeah. Okay. Okay.
mixer of the album.
Yeah, he mixed the album. He became a very good friend of mine over the years. I can't remember exactly how I met. Oh, I know how I met him.
But he did Nick of Time.
He did Nick of Time, and I played drums on that record, that single, and I played on the album before, and I met him on No, I met him on Nick of Time. That's right. Don Was produced it.
Right.
And we hit it off right away. And then soon after, and we had friends in common. And then that made the friendship grow, because we were like hanging out together sometimes now. And so, he was an amazing guy who knew so much. And I had a really long conversation with him with another one of his very, very close friends today. And we talked about Ed for a long time. And it's wonderful to revisit. It's kind of sad to know that he's gone, but it was wonderful to revisit, because he just brought so much great stuff to everybody. And he was always there and focusing on so much positive stuff. And people don't even realize all the things that Ed was involved in the audio and music business and in this
Well,
city.
I met him when I was starting out and starting to record.
Because he remembered you, because when I asked him to possibly mix it, he goes, "Oh, I remember him." And then he went, "Well, okay, sure, I'll do that." It was cool. It was like, it didn't go like, "I'm not going to do this right now,"
Absolutely.
Anyhow.
Tell me a fun fact about you.
Yeah.
That nobody knows.
Oh God, I don't know. Well, I got to go there, huh? I don't.
I'm gonna suggest one.
Okay.
I know. Tell me about your first couple of gigs when you were a kid.
Well, my first gig is about a 5 or 6 minute speech, and we don't have time for that. We can do that on another interview about the day I bought my drums and got a gig that night, and I was 15. Okay. That's a hilarious story. I've told it many times. It's in print even. But I think one of the things I referred to back then is I grew up in Houston, Texas, and my family was Catholic. So they were fairly, they were, I wouldn't say they were devout, but yeah, they went to church every Sunday and they followed all the rules of the Catholic Church. And so I was brought up in that. I went to Catholic school for 12 years. And so after I started playing, after I wasn't playing more than some months and going to school, and I got a gig at a strip club over not far from the house.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was 16 by then. No, yeah, but I don't think I had my driver's license or car, or I wasn't given the car for the night to go out and do that. Yeah, I think maybe I was still 15, because when my cousin, the guys in the band would pick me up, the bass player or the guitar player, and when they couldn't, my cousin who lived near where that place was would come get me and drive me over there, and my cousin Sammy would come pick me up. Well, this Sunday night, the guitar player can't get me, the bass player can't get me, my cousin Sammy can't get me. And so my dad overhears me talking, saying, trying to get a ride. He goes, "Oh, I'll give you a ride, son." And I said, "Oh no, Dad, don't worry. No, it's cool." It wasn't like,
"Oh, this is short.
This is great." So my father said, "I'll ride. I'll give you a ride." I said, "Dad, I'll get somebody." He goes, "No," I said, "I'll give you a ride." Okay. It was, strong, stern. And he drives me up there, and we get up, and the driveway was gravel. It was back in those days in that part of Houston. And I remember it really well, driving across the gravel. And I said, "Okay, right here is good." He goes, "Well, where is the club?" "Oh, it's right down there. Don't worry, Dad. It's cool. I got it. I'll walk." And I thought I was talking my way out of it. My dad goes, "Son, no problem. I'll drive you there." He turns right. He goes down there. He gets down there. There's this flashing neon sign that says, "Topless dancers, polka dot lounge." And my dad says, "Son."
Oh shit, that's funny.
"Anthony," "Anthony, what does that say there?" I said, "Well, Dad, it's," he goes, "Hey, you're telling me they have women strippers in there taking off their clothes?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Why, son, isn't that a mortal sin, for a Catholic?" And I said, "Dad, it's okay. I talked to Father Stredney about it, and he said, as long as I didn't get aroused, it would be okay." I swear to God, I made up that line on my dad, and my dad went for it. And the next weekend, my aunt, when she found out about it, laughed really hard the next day when she found out about it. And the next weekend, she talked my mom and dad to going. And that's another story I'll tell you another time.
Oh, that's a great fact about you.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap this up. And I thank you for being here. The next few weeks, I'll be talking with some of the other musicians that are on this record. Lawrence Juber, Denny Sywell, Edgar Winter, hopefully Stephen Stills, Robbie Krieger, and maybe Tom Scott and some other people. And we'll hope to get everybody on this thing. And let's see, a fun fact about me that you don't know or anybody doesn't know. I have a pilot's license. I have a sea captain's license.
Wow.
And I have a driver's license. And that's
Well,
it for me, kids.